Good morning. Good morning. This is Jamie Green, and I am joined again by my number one prince as we continue our conversations that impact us as a people, and we discuss our movement and what we are doing um, to 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 advocate for our people, to be a voice for our people. So today we're going to talk about the breaking news story from yesterday where the guy um, killed three people in Jacksonville, Florida. And the news media headline was that it was a hate crime, which, we already knew that whether they said it or not. And so we're going to discuss that today, the impact of these continual acts of genocide against our people, uh, how we are responding, how we should be responding, and what we need to do as a people from this point forward. So, welcome back to this conversation. And how are you feeling? What was your response as you were seeing that story yesterday?
My response immediately was first I felt like a protector, right? Understanding immediately that the people need protection, right? As a man of our nation, our community, we have to remember and never forget that lawfully, politically, socially, and technically, we are a nation within a nation. And oftentimes the things that our people witness always trying to assimilate into everybody else's culture and way of life instead of being proud of our own and learning about our own and making the world respect our own. So when we forget these things, then these types of attacks happen by these cowards. Because just in true form, the fashion of a coward, after he killed the three Africans, he then went on to kill himself, right? So it shows even further his psychopathic behavior, but the all around psychopathic behavior and mindset of all white supremacy.
Right.
And again, as a man of the people, the first response from all true warriors and all true men should be one of protection. And, again, part of the neo-colonialism that we live on, they have watered down what true manhood and true womanhood is to make most of our people believe that you have to just follow the rules and go along with whatever they say in order to be considered a good person. And the fact of the matter is, these laws and legislations and bills that are passed to keep us in an inferior position. And then even when you think about theologically, the same message to keep us in the same inferior position. So this is why you see even the black church is actually a church that has its own system within the system of the church. What do I mean? What I mean is, historically, the ideology of the church has been taught for the Africans to be submissive to the European slave owner and to just follow the rules and you'll get your pie in the sky. Church has always been complicit to the genocide that has happened against our people. It was in the past, whether you're talking about the colonial era, the antebellum era, the Jim Crow era, the civil rights era, and this era that we presently live in. The church is still complicit. Mainly the European church, the Anglo-Saxon church, is still complicit to our situation because they never speak out against it, nor do they have any real program in place to address it. And when we follow along their ideology, then the black church then becomes complicit in its own slavery, bureaucratic slavery, and self-destruction. So we gotta hold these evangelicals accountable. We gotta hold them responsible. Because when many of this guy was like in his early 20s, and usually you would see that that's like around the age. But whatever the age is, these people are not just going out and acting on these thoughts by themselves.
Right.
They sit at these dinner tables within their homes. They go to these social clubs within their community. They are raised up by people who were raised on the same bread and butter of racism.
Right.
So let's stop acting like it's one bad person and that everybody else gets to sit in the back and play in it. This is something else that as a people we can't keep allowing. We gotta hold them quote unquote white people. We gotta hold them accountable to start addressing the real issues that go on in their community.
Right.
We don't need them coming in trying to put baby in our group, which is what they historically always try to do.
Right.
That's nothing but the think what we're gonna do again. But if they said about correcting this behavior, they have to do the work in their own community. Because
Right.
that idea stems from the white supremacist idea stems from the white community.
Right, because they come into our communities and even in our pulpits and telling us, we're not racist. We are with you all. We are just as upset as you are. We're sick of the hate as well. Okay, stop coming over here telling us that and go deal with your own people and break that cycle, change those mindsets over there. We don't need you to keep coming over here telling us how much you love us and how we're your brothers and your sisters. We don't need that. We need you to handle your people over there and fix this mentality because it is embedded in the foundation of this so-called country. People can keep saying all they want to. I don't see racism. Racism doesn't exist. I don't know what's wrong with you that you can't see racism because this country was founded on it, number one, and is maintained in every part of the system that is America. So we don't need you to keep coming over here, patting us on our heads, telling us how bad you feel for us. We need you to address the issues in your community.
Right, absolutely.
And then let's discuss what our community needs to be doing as well. Because why are we so comfortable with, as soon as something like this happens, every time I see it, and let's say well-known, as you said, white person, gets on in front of the microphone talking about how disgusted they are and how upset they are, or whatever, and we start clapping for them, You know, we thank you so much for understanding what we're going through. Thank you for feeling what we're feeling. And then we organize protests and walks and so forth and so on. And then it's over until the next time it happens again. What is it that we should be doing versus what we are doing?
First thing is it is imperative that we do, again, is understand we first. And when I say we, I'm speaking of the Africans, the Moors, the Black people. I
Right,
don't care what title, what you want to refer to us as. We're talking about unity.
right,
But first thing we have to start doing is understanding unity and understanding us first. When you see the Jews, you see Jewish communities that are full of Jewish people who keep the Jewish dollar rotating in the Jewish community.
yes,
To lease their own, they're about you first. You see the same thing with Chinese, Italian, etc.
right,
But
right,
you never see that with us. This is the first thing we must do is understand the power of political organization. Then we got to start looking at history from our point of view so we understand the things that led us to this point. And then we can better understand how to put countermeasures together, whether it's standing against false policy, poor housing, things that need to unjust equality as far as even economic development. In order for us to understand how that was put in place, we got to see where in the past these legislations were passed specifically to keep us out. So we have to get serious about organizing politically and then putting in place measures that are active in fixing these things. Not asking, not begging the same people that are hell-bent on enslavement. Stop asking and begging them for things and use the very same laws and legislations that they try to use against us. Force them to prove that they are really serious about us being citizens of this country.
right.
And make them follow the law and the constitutional oath that they take. These are some of the first, and we got to stop falling for every little promise that they give.
Right, right.
Like I tell you, three main things that I see right now, and people are not enraged enough, and they're not understanding how, even with this guy killing these three Africans yesterday, it goes along with the next three things that I'm getting ready to state. But if you're not aware politically that they view us as a people, you don't see how these things go together. Now, the first one we can look at is almost every black person in the country right now is falling for the rhetoric that Trump is the Antichrist, he's the devil, he's the worst person on the planet. Well, I got news for everybody. Trump is nothing but another Anglo-Saxon male out of the millions that are in control of your food, clothing, and shelter, my friend. And if you keep letting them put the blame all on one man, like he's the reason for our situation in America, then again, you're just as psychopathic as they are. Because what you should be aware of, again, is the historical context of our situation. Trump just came along. So who was to blame before him?
Right.
And then when you look at Trump's supporters, what we should be looking at is really not Trump. We should be asking ourselves, why does he have so many supporters? So what his supporters are showing, again, is what the true idea of the Anglo-Saxon American is. Because if it wasn't, they wouldn't be supporting the nonsense that he's saying.
Right,
So
right.
not worried about Trump, one individual, and focus on the fact that what he's exposing is that the idea of this country is the very same as it was when they started putting us in chains.
Wow.
Yes, that idea, that superior idea that let this boy to go out and kill these 3 black Adams. I'll tell you one more thing. You look at how they get this critical race theory. We're not paying enough attention to that. Because what they're doing in all actuality is removing the truth and the historical knowledge of slavery from our children. So the future generation will never understand how we got to this position. But all they will be living in is a system that makes them think that they are inferior. That's what this whole attack is really about. And we should be serious about this, as serious as they are to keep the truth out of being taught. We are supposed to be going even harder and making sure the truth is taught. Because even that in and of itself is a white supremacy idea. That's why they don't want to reveal the truth about how this USA corporation came about and how it still survives to this day. This is a direct attack, again, on our people, and we don't seem to be understanding that because we're too busy trying to integrate into a system and a culture that is not ours. And the third thing that we need to pay more attention to is the whole Democrat-Republican thing. When we make decisions based on whether or not we vote for a Democrat or a Republican, we shouldn't be looking at it as if we're voting for good or bad people. We got to stop these moral, emotional arguments and understand politics. Politically, we don't care if they're good or bad or not. Because the fact of the matter is, we should know by now, none of them are for us. As Malcolm X said back in the day, you're dealing with a fox and a wolf. The wolf is coming straight to you, but the fox is using clever tricks. But at the end of the day, they both gonna eat you alive. We have to start placing our balance on who is really doing something for us. And when they're not doing something for us, it doesn't matter the party. Because the Democrat and Republican Party both have the same history as the rest of this country. They are both European male-dominated political parties that are for the European male, period. You got to stop falling for all these tricks and glitter and gold. Build our own political party. It's solely about our needs and wants first. And that's how you deal with other people, other nations, other businesses. When you go into the affairs of men and women, you have to be placing the needs and wants of you and your people first. And then we can move forward. But before all of that happens, we got to understand unity. We have to understand unity.
Wow. Very well said. That is a lot of information that we must dissect, analyze, and apply. We are no longer in a position where we can just pretend we don't see things. I mean, like, you see it every day. You hear it every day. You experience it when you go to work, when you go to the bank, when you go to a store, when you try to buy something. Like, I was just thinking about, even you were talking about economically, what have you. One of the mothers that I work with said to me the other day, she said, I can't, they tell me I'm not qualified to get a mortgage, but I pay $1,100 a month in rent. So clearly you have the ability to pay the mortgage, but the system is designed to say that because of your potential, what we've seen from people of your race, and your economic status, we don't think you will pay the mortgage to the bank. So we're not going to give you the mortgage. Again, economic control and manipulation. And we have got to stop, pull our heads out of the sand, stop standing around singing kumbaya, joining hands, and we all love one another. We all created by God. We're all one. We're not all one in this system. We may all be one in the eyes of the Creator because He only created one human race. But in this system that we're living in every day, that our children are a part of, that our grandchildren are a part of, we are not all one. And we need to stop pretending that we don't see that we're not. Stop waiting till somebody gets murdered to realize and speak out about hate. That person that murdered those 3 people yesterday didn't wake up yesterday morning and start saying, I'm gonna hate Black people. I'm gonna go out here and kill Black people. He was raised that way. He was programmed that way. I heard today that before he went to that store to kill those people, he had gone to a local HBCU campus, threatening to kill some people. And they, sent him away. I don't know all the specifics, but he was sent away from the college. And he left there and went straight to that area and killed those people. This young man, there was a manifesto written. There was a note written to his parents. There was, he didn't just, oh, wow, all of a sudden today I hate Black people. Let's wake up, people. Right. And stop pretending we don't see what we actually see. Right. Well, I thank you once again for joining me. I love our conversations, and we will talk again shortly.
And for y'all who act like you don't know what to do, don't. Contact groups like I have 30 seconds remaining. Contact a mother's cloud. Contact the queen. You and Melon, we are established. You don't know what to do, we will tell you what to do so we can mobilize, organize, and move forward. But the game must stop.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Love you, Queen. I'll talk to you in the future.
I love you back.
Family love.
Family is forever.